All right, recording Fighters University. I'm Pocholo Cruz. That's Mike DeVore.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Going well, man. Going well. In my last podcast, Pancreation Philosophy, you were the most recurring guest. I'm pretty sure.
Quote, recurring, not requested.
Recurring is the key part there.
Yeah, it's the key word there, recurring. Not like, hey, we need Mike DeVore to come back.
Like on an offshoot, I remember, I believe it was like Conan O'Brien's, I think the first iteration of his late night show. I think when they didn't have a guest, I think they would just try to bring on like Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear about this? You seen this?
We'll meet the punchline. We got the word crack whore.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess Mike. Introduce yourself to the crowd of people don't know you.
Okay.
What do you do? Yeah.
What do I do? I'm an artist. No, I'm an overall nice guy, good guy. Okay. Call back to the first iteration of maybe on the podcast. No, so my name is Mike DeVore. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm a videographer, storyteller. And Pocholo reached out to me earlier this week. He's like, hey, would you like to be on this Fighters University? And I'm like, don't you need fighters? And he was just like, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. So I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And
I feel like you're very fighter adjacent though. With your videography, you've done a lot of insight into particularly young up and coming fighters. So I feel like you've seen it through that lens, and you can talk about your experience with that. And and also you've done. It's maybe it's been a bit, but you've done some training yourself, and you kind of understand that aspect of it.
Training is hard.
No, hey,
that's hard. But no, I love training. I love training. Thank you for saying all that. Yeah, part of my brand, I used to run I still kind of do, but I run a channel called PNW Martial Arts Scene, where I follow up and coming fighters, events, and gyms. And then I also trained at Kaiju Kickboxing in Kirkland, Washington. So I have some insight to what it's like to be, other than being a fighter myself. I've been around it enough to to get a gauge of oh, okay, so this is what
for sure, man. If anything, man, I think you're smarter than most fighters I know because you haven't tried.
Dude, I there was a couple times where I was like,
you're on that. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to fight just to test myself. Yeah. And then I spar. I'm like, no, I'm good. This stings when I get punched in the nose.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and that's one thing I always talk about is if there's a sense of doubt, or if there's if you're not totally sure about it, then you shouldn't do it.
Well, I think that's what Mike Tyson said. Yeah. I think it was Mike Tyson, because I don't know if it was Mike Tyson or Joe Rogan or whatever, but there's this quote that I said, it's you don't want to just be half into it, because the other person in the cage could be the up and coming Mike Tyson.
Exactly. The other person is fully into it.
Yeah.
In this point, and the point of the sport is to maim you, maim and injure you.
And I'm a nice guy. I don't want to hurt my opponent. I'm like the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson of not fighting.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. But mainly just in terms of you've seen young fighters, and how it develops. You've done the training. You know how difficult it is. But yeah, on that aspect though of just the difficulty. The difficulty of training, and then there's just another point of, I guess, intensity and also pressure if you're wanting to put yourself into that kind of competitive light. And that's just with anything with any kind of raised stakes, because that's kind of the that's kind of the notion that happens when you put yourself out there.
I agree. I agree with that, because I'll be honest, I spar. I sparred when I was training, and I purposely sought out people who were better than me. Yeah, which wasn't hard, but I sought out the actual fighters of the gym, because I wanted to put myself outside my comfort zone and to see what it's like to just it's like, do I have it within myself to like counter? And there's been a few times where like I got pieced up. And I was just like, dude, I gotta swing back. I got it. Like, it's that mental game. It's where it's like, oh, I'm getting fucked up right now. Like, let me like throw something. And then like I remember there was this fighter, Justin Nibbs. One of the first times we sparred, he comes up to, he pieced me up. Like he's like this amateur kickboxing champion. And like he like after we went, he was like, dude, he was like, I was afraid of your power. And then I was like, dude, I was afraid of you. So yeah, man, like it's a mental game. It's definitely like I will take pride in myself that like I didn't realize this, but I do have power in my shots. But like, man, like when you like it's a lot different going up against fighters than high schoolers, because I'll fuck up those high schoolers.
Yeah, high school, middle schoolers, come on down.
Bring it. I'm a grown ass man. Bring it.
Yeah, just like the movie. What's that? Benchwarmers when they just play kids. But yeah, but I mean, you bring up a good point about comfort zone. It's like going outside your comfort zone, of course, is when like growth like occurs. Because yeah, if you had just sparred, middle schoolers, kindergartners, you feel pretty good. So you're like, man, I am a fighting genius. It's like, this is easy. You're like, these 12-year-olds got nothing on me.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm 37 years old. I'll fuck up a 12-year-old.
It's like a young Shaq.
Yeah. I'll take on 7 of them.
But yeah, I think that's I think that's the thing. It's just having the confidence to want to test yourself now in a more I guess in an even more higher pressure environment is kind of what it takes to be a fighter, which is why I wouldn't say like actively like discourage, but in terms of testing, it's like you can't just because of the stakes that I feel are involved. I'm never really gonna push somebody like into it, because if they can't push themselves into it, then there's really no hope in terms of doing that.
You can't want it more for the like next person. They have to want it the most themselves. Exactly. I see that a lot. Like my brother's a high school football coach, and he sees it a lot with parents, like
yes,
where parents want their like kids to be the star. They go, well, why isn't my kid getting starting time or playing time? And it's like, dude, your kid fucking sucks. Yeah, like your kids. It's not that they suck, like, but a lot of times, like my brother tells me, it's like, some of these kids are lazy. They it's not like they don't want to put them in. It's just like when it comes to practice, it's one of those things where it's like, you can't expect kids to show up game time. It's like you gotta like prove to us that you can hang with the current players. And if you're making plays with the current players, then they're like, okay, we'll give you some opportunities game time. So like a lot of times these parents don't understand that. And then here's another thing. I know we're talking about fighting, but like this is a very applicable. I don't know like how applicable this is to fighting, but like I know in high school football in San Diego, like the transfer rate is ridiculous. Or like
between high schools, you mean?
Between high schools,
okay.
It's ridiculous. Like because
like this school doesn't give my child playing time, and then they're trying to go. Oh wow, okay,
exactly. And it's definitely
the school's problem, definitely not your child's.
Yeah, exactly. And then like there was this incident where one of the players from my brother's team, he transferred to another team that just won the championship in San Diego. Yeah, and like he immediately transferred to another school after that. And like he loses eligibility, and he's not even that dude. Like he's not that guy where they're like, oh, we need this guy on the team. He's like, oh, he makes plays, but it's not like so it's just interesting. So I don't know how applicable that is to fighting, but like I don't know, just I guess for me it's the competing edge thing, where it's like mentally it's like it comes back to the mental aspect. It's like, oh, like I want to play like D1, or I want to compete, but like I don't want to put in the work to get there. So,
and I think that comes too with just like with having, like with what's your mentality, I guess, like towards what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, are you doing it because you feel like obligated to do it, or are you doing it because you actually enjoy it? And I think that's that's a big thing in terms of like purposeful practice. It's like, I mean, it's like those general guru things that, you know, the person that enjoys walking ends up walking more than the person that feels like they have to walk at that. And I think especially with like the sport of fighting, which is once again like already what's the word, extreme.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, extreme. But
I just bleed,
yeah,
just bleed.
Just bleed. Where it's very high stakes. It's very it's really on the cusp. It's just on the cusp of, you know, barbarianism, really.
Yeah.
So
Gladiators.
So you would need it takes a certain kind. I wouldn't even say certain kind. It takes a crazy person. It takes a crazy person really truly want to do it. So that if you don't enjoy that kind of aspect of the, you know, the difficulty and the tediousness and the of the grind of getting better at training, then there's no way you're gonna be.
I see a lot.
Fighters
even though I'm not a fighter, like it's funny that you say like it takes a crazy person. I see a lot of similarities between fighting and stand-up
comedy. Yeah. So yeah,
it's just like because to me, like the biggest thing that I see is like there's something missing in their life.
I totally agree with that. I haven't, you know, delved into stand-up comedy like as deeply as you, but yeah, I definitely agree with that kind of notion. And I think if anything, that kind of goes with just looking at high, you know, just at high achievers or high performers in any kind of field. It really isn't something they have more of. It's something that it's like a piece of lacking that leads them to get to that kind of to those kinds of heights.
To get to that level.
Yeah. So
I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the times it's like it's an off switch, or it's like how far or how much am I willing like to go, like to do so. And then that's kind of, I mean, it's really unbalanced people.
It really is like at least like for me, like when I got into stand-up comedy, it was like looking back on it now, like I think like I now know why I did stand-up comedy before.
Okay.
And that was because I didn't love myself. And I don't know if you can tie this into fighting or whatever.
Oh no, I can find it.
But like for me, it was just like I was getting external validation and I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. And then I started like I started to progress in stand-up comedy. I started to work the road. And I thought all these things that I would get from stand-up comedy like would make me happy, but it turns out it didn't. And so there was a period where I had to find myself, and especially in this last year. And once I found myself, once I understood who I am as a person, when I came back to stand-up comedy, I'm in love with it again because like I know why I'm doing it, and it's just because it's the journey, it's solving puzzles of just wanting to get better at my craft. And it's like I'm obsessed with it now. Like I wasn't obsessed with it when I was getting burnt out. Like now it's like I want to soak up everything, and like I feel like I'm that up and coming Mike Tyson when it comes to stand up comedy.
Because you're like all in. Like
I'm all in.
You're not like halfway in. You're all in. And no, I can totally relate that like to fighting, because I feel like there is kind of external validation. If you just look at, I mean, you look at a cross section of a lot of people that got into fighting, and there is like we're talking about Mike Tyson. It's a wanting to defend oneself, and that's really, if you look at from a GSP to like a Sean Strickland, you see like just a lot of people that are kind of broken mentally and wanted to find some physical outlet to make themselves, to try and build themselves up essentially.
Yeah.
So and that's why fighting's a bunch of broken people. You could also say stand-up comedy is also a bunch of
bunch of broken, insecure people.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's a bunch of no balance, or regular person that feels good about themselves would really need to think about the lengths that it takes to. Okay, now let's take a look at stand-up comedy, like the lengths it takes to actually be quote unquote like successful. It's like a lot. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of years, a lot of years and time.
Grinding, like
really getting a lot of work for really not getting a lot. And
yeah,
I would say the exact same thing. Like if you're an up and coming fighter, you know, like amateur fights, fighting in front of, you know, maybe a dozen, maybe a few dozen, like people, no one really knowing who you are, taking all this damage, getting damage in the gym, getting damage in like the amateur fights, really for nothing, for like the prospect. And you know, with the way professional fighters get paid, not, I mean, professional MMA fighters really not like not that much. I mean, I guess you make a lot compared to, you know, a small village in Eastern Europe, but in terms of real money, you're not making
making a lot. Yeah, and that's not even including like that's not even like the UFC side of things.
Yeah,
like even UFC, like of entrance, from my understanding, they only make like 12 to show, 12 to win, or you know, or whatever.
If that, some guys even still have even more whack contracts that might be possibly lower than that, and that's insane, right?
That's insane to me. Yeah. So like that's So I was saying, like, because I was talking to a pro fighter down here or up here in Seattle, and like he was telling me he was like he's getting paid more to do a combat jiu-jitsu competition in Australia than he is to fighting a pro MMA fight in America.
Yeah. And that's insane, man. Because think about the prospects of, think about the economics of that situation. Economics of like how much money could it cost you? Like if you get, you know, horribly injured, let's say you're not insured, you could go like, no, like once again, no sane, like balanced person would really make that gamble. Yeah. Like who would want to risk that? So
someone who's broken inside.
Exactly. That's the kind of people that you want. Even if we're talking about gladiatorials, most of those guys didn't want to do that shit either. They were like slaves,
to do it.
Just like, hey, go out there, fight and fight. But I mean, if anything, they're just slaves to their mind in that case. But
yeah, like it's so interesting, like how it's interesting with how stand-up comedy and fighting kind of overlap. Like, you know, they say like a black belt is a white belt who never quit. Like I say like a headliner is like an open micer who never quit.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know, like I respect a lot of I respect fighters. Like as someone who trained with them, as someone who follows them, I respect the fuck out what these fighters do. And like, man, like I see a lot of times where it's like I see a lot of times kind of going back to the mental aspect of things. It's like when you first start, you're kind of naive.
Yeah.
Like you think the
some just kind of have to be to get into it.
You kind of have to be delusional. Like and
there's definitely a level of delusion you need.
Oh fuck. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. But then like as you start to compete against people at your level, you have to be like what, like there has to be another like layer of like what help me out here, like there has to be another like when the talent is the same and the skill levels are the same, like the next thing is the mental aspect of the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say like the big thing, I think a lot of things that aren't really quite accounted for is that, okay, so the physical, I'd say the physical is kind of like, let's talk about it in terms of machine, right? It's like the exterior of the machine. It's like, you know, what's actually moving. But like the mental aspect is like the internal parts. And if it's not moving correctly, then it doesn't really matter how good, you know, you could have like the shiniest, you know, the fast, you can be strongest, fastest, most powerful. If like, I mean, and that definitely helps. I mean, that definitely helps. But if you're fighting someone that is as strong, as fast, as powerful, like as you, and you're not as mentally in it, that's not going to end that well for you if that's if that's all matched up. Because what I would say is, once again, going back to the fact that most guys are broken already, it's kind of having a mental house of cards in terms of that. You know what I mean? So I feel like most guys like kind of have a mental house of cards that's not really that shaky. And I think like across the board, typically, at least on the side of like combat and competition, the guys that are really good at have rock solid like mental fortitude. Like I wouldn't say there's really a champion I can think of. They could say, oh, he was kind of, and that's the thing. There's like, you know, what does it mean to be like weak mentally? But I feel like there's not like a chink in their armor in terms of their confidence or in terms of what their abilities and what they can do. I think there's got to be like a kind of unshakable forward, and I think that's kind of harder to develop in the mind than it is to actually develop the physical sense, because you can build yourself.
You can push as much weight as you want. You can like run as far as you can. You can be as conditioned as possible. But like, man, like when you don't have that self-belief, like or like if there's like a what you said, a chink in the armor, like once you if you have that, like it doesn't matter how physical you are, like that like that's kind of like a cancer, like that can like deteriorate from the inside.
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
exactly. It's a weak link in terms of that.
Yeah,
all it takes is that for snap, and which is why, I mean, going back to delusion, sometimes like the most strongest people are truly the most delusional. Like the guys that have like a screw loose, it's hard to mess with them mentally because they're already. I mean,
they have reasons to believe why they are unstoppable.
Exactly.
Like I think who is like the first name that comes to mind is Ilya. How do you spell his last name?
Ilya Topuria.
Yeah, like going up against Alexander Volkanovski, like he has no reason to believe like that he's not as good as he thinks he is, because he's undefeated, right?
Yeah, he's undefeated.
Yeah, he's undefeated. So like, and then
there's been no proof that he's not the shit.
Yeah, exactly. And he just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. So of course he's going to think he's like he is the best in the world at his weight class. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like that delusion can be a gift and a curse.
Exactly. And we're talking about the gift at that point. We can talk about the curse. I mean, a big example of that, Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
CSO,
champ shit only.
No, because, and that's the thing. And that's the point where his mental is so strong that clearly the physical is not there anymore, but he cannot make it's like, she's just got so much, and that's the thing across the board you see with fighters. It's so hard for them to let go. That's why a lot of them, it's not really a happy ending, because because they kind of get greedy. They get greedy with that gamble. They may not have like they're so used to going all in, when it's like, okay, it's good to go all in when you got the good cards, but when you're going all in when you have the
2 sevens,
yeah, exactly. Like, this worked for me before when I had 2 kings. And it's like, like, no, man, you're not working with the same hand anymore. It's a different hand. Like
it's so like, here's how I feel about that. Like, I think if it was any other thing, like where it wasn't like where you're not creating brain damage, like I think it wouldn't be as like, if it was comedy, it's like if the headliner was past his prime or whatever, like that, it'd be like it's whatever. It's like he's not.
But there's no physical element attached to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like, I guess maybe if they get Alzheimer's or they have a stroke and they can't talk anymore, I guess that would like affect them. But on the most part, you can go into your later years like still being relatively sharp.
You can still do it, but like, but when it comes to the fighting aspect of it, like you're right. Like I think what it is, it's addiction. Like I think I got the core of it is addiction, because like those highs are really high, especially like I can only imagine what it's like to have an entire arena scream for you after like knocking someone out or finishing somebody.
For sure.
And then so when you go on a 7-8 plus win streak with that same mentality, like like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like you feel unstoppable, but then like when you are like on a 7-fight losing streak, I think Ferguson's on the.
I think it's 7 fights. I think I looked at it. It's like 7 or 8 fight losing streak.
Yeah. With that same mentality, it's like it's hard to let that go when that mentality was what was that got you to that point in the first place. So
for sure. I mean, we're talking addiction. They're just looking for that fix. They're
that's
addicted.
That's what it is.
They're addicted to the rush. They're addicted to the adrenaline. Right, they're addicted to that high. They're chasing that dragon.
I can speak on addiction a lot.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery, so I get that. Yeah. Oh man, I love me some Tony Ferguson.
No, for sure. When it's going well, when it's firing on all cylinders, when it's like, it looks great. But on the same notion, it's like when it's still firing on all cylinders, but it's going like when it's a train wreck now instead of instead of smooth. Instead of
it's like what we were saying, the gift and the curse. Like it could help you, or like it could derail you.
Exactly. And like and once again, talking about that, some of the best like fighters may not necessarily be the best people, just like John Jones. Because I think that that's the thing. It's like I truly believe that with his like kind of his like, I mean, we're talking about addiction to addiction to multiple things, but of course addicted like to the win, because he's never had he has like the loss.
I mean, he has a loss, but isn't a loss.
It's true. It's generally regarded as not a loss, even though it is officially on his record. But he has no reason to believe that he's not unstoppable. But now that takes him into situations where it's not a matter of sport. It's a matter of law. And it's a matter of just like self-control. And it just shows that he is an awfully unbalanced person and couldn't. There's
just imagine some of these high profile professional athletes, these high end athletes, if they didn't have fighting to put that championship energy into.
For them to like a focus and a drive like to do so. And that's the thing. And it's like, I mean, we're talking about MMA fighters, but then also you see that with, I mean, talk about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson got into his fair run-ins, more than his fair share of run-ins with the law, just because of, once again, he was a pretty unbalanced person, given a lot of money and fame and attention that he may not necessarily have wanted, but got it anyway. And then,
or not necessarily wanted, but just not ready for.
Oh yeah, but then goes the question too: is anyone really ready for fame?
I'm ready. I'm ready now. Right now. Bring it. No, you know what it is?
Yeah.
I think for me personally, it's like, I think people aren't ready if they don't know who they are.
For sure.
Like if you don't know who you are and you're like given like this platform and you're given all this money and like fame and fortune, and if you don't know who you are, that can really be a slippery slope.
Yeah,
some people figure it out along the way, but like others, it's like it consumes them.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like I am so grateful I am unknown. I'm grateful that I wasn't requested back to the podcast. Because like now it's like I now know who I am. I know what my values are, and I can navigate that through the hard times and the good times. So like we joke about like, he's like, who's ready for fame? I'm ready for fame. I'm ready for that fortune.
But I see what you mean though. You're more ready for fame now than you would be like, say 10, 15,
exactly. Yes, exactly. If you were
younger, which is, I mean, looking across the board, if think about when Mike Tyson got famous in his like late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And like and that's the thing, no one's really ready for it. A young person, like a person in their youth, is definitely not ready for it, because that's always like, can you name every youth person that got famous in their youth? It's never really turned out. It never ends well. It's never ends well.
Like, well, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, like, because I was just watching a clip of Kel Mitchell on the Shannon Sharp podcast. On the Shannon Sharp podcast, and then like Shannon Sharp asks him the same question, like, but like in regards to the child actors, he's like, he was like, you're a child actor, like, what advice do you have to give to someone who is a child actor? And Kel was just like, just know who you are. And in my mind, I'm like, kids aren't gonna know who they are.
Kids probably know.
Yeah, so
like who they are could change it in a moment, but
yeah. So it is what it is. So I think if you know who you are, that will help you navigate through all aspects of life. I think that's why I think a lot of times fighters have a hard time hanging it up, because
their identity is attached to what they do.
Exactly. The same thing with military veterans. Yeah. I'm also a veteran, and like I see a lot of times people who get out the military, they struggle with their identity, because like they like, depending on how long they've been in, determines their identity. And I know I struggled with it when I first got out. Like I remember when I started doing comedy when I was in the Navy, and I was known as the comic, as the Navy comic. Like it's like like I'm in the Navy, yada yada yada. And when I got out, I was just like, I can't use that identity anymore. Like I'm not the Navy comic anymore. So yeah, it's hard to let go when you don't know who you are as a person.
For sure. And I think that's the thing too. It doesn't really just matter. I mean, what we're talking about doesn't really just matter if you're a youth. I mean, for any kind of person like going into something, and I think especially into now we're going back into fighting, you gotta understand that as important as fighting is to you, fighting won't be the only thing that you do in your life. I guess if you happen to survive it, because it's just understanding that fighting is just something you do. Fighting is not who you are. There's gonna be more aspects like to your life than fighting, but that's hard to manage, especially if you're used to being all in on something.
Yeah.
Now, let's say that window closes. Let's say that that opportunity like doesn't arise. Like then, what do you do? How do you pivot there? It's a difficult thing to do.
Therapy,
sure.
lots of therapy. It's funny that you mentioned all in. Is that's my mentality.
Yeah.
Like 99% of my life. And like, it wasn't until a recent therapy session that I had last week. And so he was like, why? Like, I was talking about like, I have some personal stuff going on with my ex over visitation rights for my daughter. And like, I told my therapist, it's like, I feel like I can either go this direction or that direction. And then he was just like, why couldn't you find a way to do both? And then I had to sit there and think about it. I was like, oh, wait, maybe he's right. Like, maybe my therapist is right. Maybe I can do both. So like, I think a lot of times it's like going all in, like maybe like may feel for me personally, like it feels like the only answer. Like I think like, cause I still want to train martial arts, but like, it's either I do like the stand-up comedy and the training is at the same time.
Yeah. So you gotta make your choice. Like,
but it's like, but if training was in the morning and comedy was at night, like I'd be able to do both. But like, it just depends on the situation for me. I don't know where I was going with that.
no, it's okay. No, that totally makes sense. I think what you're trying to talk about is like, the priority of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like also realizing that there may be some more solutions. Like there may be more solutions sometimes if you take a step back, especially if you're conditioned. But I think also just with people, they really can only, multitasking is essentially a myth. You can really only focus on, you could be shitty at a bunch of things, or you could be good at a few things that you focus on.
Yeah.
So it's a notion of a lot of people, I guess, overestimate what they can do with a day, but underestimate what they can do in a year. So you can't, because most people are just short-term thinkers. Well, people are just naturally short-term thinkers in that kind of case. But just understanding that, but it takes time. Because you have to literally rewire yourself.
Yeah.
To look into that kind of long term. Because once again, as just how evolution dictates, we couldn't really be long term. You can't be a long term thinker if you're like hunting in the wilderness and you had to decide between like
fucking lions and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Chased by lions. Like, do I kill one squirrel now, or will I bank on catching a deer a week from now? It's like the guy that ate the squirrel most likely ended up living, and that's why you got to go, with that. But sometimes, just having the wherewithal to all right, take a step back, realizing there's more. And that's, again, it's the duality of like, oh, can I be all in on something yet still understand that it's not everything?
Yeah,
it's not my identity. It's just what I happen to do. Because those are seems kind of contradictory, but there's
I think that's having a wise mind.
Yeah,
I think it's just having awareness. Like I think it's kind of like what you say. Like we're so used to having short-term goals or short-term mindsets that we don't plan for the long run. That's why like a lot of fighters, they're like, oh, I'll worry about CTE later.
but then afterwards, like, what was I worried about again?
Yeah. And they're drooling. Worry.
Well, there's always like all those skits like, hey man, you think all this hard sparring will like catch up to us? And then it's like two guys talking, but then it shows like it like zooms out and it's just one guy. Like that's
funny. Nice.
Oh, but Yeah, I think I think that's the thing. It's because it's almost, yeah, it's like, because we're talking about it's balance intensity, right? And it's kind of odd. It's because once again, it sounds like an oxymoron. Like how can you how can you maintain balance but also be like all in terms of a goal? But I think it's just realizing once again like what your priorities are and what you're looking to accomplish in terms of that, and realizing that it is a long-term game overall. Just because it's a short-term window doesn't mean you can't have a long-term game plan in terms of how you're gonna go through it. So yeah, that's a pretty nice bow, like right there on that. But yeah, how about before we head out, like anything you want to shout out, like Mike, like any shows or any content like you're creating?
I have a handful of shows coming up. Give me 1 second. I know I don't know when are you releasing this episode?
Probably just like fairly soon. It's
okay. Cool. I have a show in Everett, Washington. I'm in the Seattle area.
Yeah, and
I have a show tomorrow night, the 20th of May, at Tony V's. At 8 o'clock. I have a handful. Bear with me for once. I'm trying to pull up the shows.
No problem. I just cut recording right now. No,
yeah, I have a show in Everett, Washington. Tony V's on 20th of May. I am doing a weekend in San Diego on 5th and 6th of July. So those are the main stuff. So if you're in San Diego and 4th of July weekend, come on through, message me and I'll get you free tickets to the show. So
nice.
And you can follow me on social media at it's Mike DeVore.
it's Mike DeVore, and that's been Mike DeVore, and that's been Fighters University Podcast. Keep that long-term thinking, even for short-term goals, intensely.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta be delusional. People just get all the wrong, like, I got it, that's it.
Yeah, I got
all it. In on the adrenaline.
Yeah. No outside noise.
Yeah. All right. That's the show for everyone.
Awesome.
Thanks. Peace out. Thanks, Mike.
Anytime. That was good.
I think that was good. I think